Hello, good morning and welcome. You're watching the Business News brought to you by Blytheway. I'm Charlie Gibson. Now, as we know, one of those seminal moments in the history of a company is when it lists. And a month ago, my next guest was sitting in the studio and we were talking together and he said we're coming to London in a month's time. Between then and now, he's won many things. Best Discoverer of the Year, for example, at Mines and Money, the London Mining Conference, and also Best CEO of the Year as well. So it's a very great pleasure for me to welcome our next guest, who is Paul Cronin, the Chief Executive of Adriatic Metals. Paul, very good morning to you.
Charlie, how are you?
Bearing up, thank you. Now, how are you, or perhaps I should say, how are your shares this morning? First day of dealings in the London market. Exciting times for you?
Yeah. I mean, we weren't expecting there to be a great deal of liquidity on day one, but we're trading a few shares. Share price is at about a 5% premium to where the ASX closed overnight, so I'm really happy.
So the shares effectively up 5% from the close. So Australians obviously not understanding the company or the story at all, and the London market really getting it and giving you that 5% premium.
Yeah, I think you'd probably say that, Charlie, wouldn't you?
Well, I would say that, yeah.
Yeah, no, look, I think there's been a bit of anticipation on the stock coming to London. You know, we're a UK PLC. This is our natural market with a European asset. We know that there's been a lot of interest from London investors to get involved in the story. So, you know, I think this is day one. I'm hoping that, you know, over the next 12 months we see London overtake Australia in terms of our daily traded volume.
And I'm curious to know how you see your shareholder register developing. Are you targeting London institutions? Are you targeting London retail? Is it a bit of both? How do you expect the register to look in a year's time?
It's a bit of both. We've been talking to a lot of large London institutions, but we've also been talking to some of the PCBs and wealth managers, so they can sort of introduce it to their more retail clients as well.
Speaking of the share register, you had some news out in the last couple of weeks, I think, didn't you, about a notifiable position?
We did, yeah. We became aware that Sandfire Resources had increased their position in the company, and under our obligations to the ASX, we advised the ASX of that. You know, Sandfire have been a tremendous supporter of the company to date in terms of their financial contribution. They've participated in each of our capital raisings. And are currently sitting, we believe, at about 16% of the register.
So that's not trivial, as they say. What do you think their intentions are?
I have no idea. You'd have to ask them.
But you could ask them as well. I mean, presumably this is a conversation you'll be having with them at some stage. What are your intentions?
Yes, no, I think there will have to be a phone call relatively soon.
Okay, well, you must keep us abreast of it, because you know it's obviously pertinent to how the shares trade and how the company develops.
Sure.
You've had a lot of other news out recently.
Yeah, we've been, as you know, we've been working through our permits in Bosnia. We've received all 3 of our water permits. We've received our environmental clearance for the site clearing at Vijavacha, which is where the new plant is going to be located. We've got our public hearing date set for our exploitation licence for later this month. But probably most importantly, as we've continued to drill, stepping out to the north and the south, we continue to hit very good mineralisation. But more importantly, on the southern side, it was quite a large step out from our existing outline of mineralisation. And we intercepted a really nice thick high-grade zone there, which we released to the market last week. What it says is that what we thought was going on, where there is deeper mineralisation to the east of the known mineralisation, we've proven that there is something there. We now need to go back in and do a lot more drilling. But with $30 million in the bank, we can do a lot of damage with that next year.
You think that shouldn't be a problem?
No.
I mean, I know this is the thing you have to prove effectively, but is it reasonable to suppose there's continuity between the existing resource and that outlying drill hole?
I think it's reasonable to assume that based on what we've seen in other parts of the deposit, where you see, you know, pretty good continuity between lenses of mineralisation. So they seem to pinch and swell. The grades vary a little bit, and so does the metal assemblage. I mean, obviously we've got lead, zinc, gold, silver, copper, barite, and antimony, all in payable grades. I think it will. I think what we've discovered is just another offset of the existing mineralisation, but we will need to do a lot more follow-up work to be able to confirm that.
How does it change how you perceive the way the mine might develop?
Look, the existing geometry of the ore body kind of puts some constraints on you in terms of the amount of tonnes you could extract out of that every day. We had always assumed one entry point, basically from the north, going into this highest grade bubble of mineralisation on the northern deepest part of the mineralisation. If this mineralisation continues to the south, it could be possible to build a second face to actually increase the throughput out of the mine by mining it from two separate entry points. And then obviously we would need to look at what the implications that would be on the processing plant. But all of that work is being done at the moment. We're on schedule to have a PFS out in May, which will be far more detailed in terms of the engineering of the plant and the mine itself. We're doing a lot more metallurgical work, really trying to separate that copper. We're very, very bullish on the copper price. And we think that if we can separate that copper out and increase the payability on a separate copper gold concentrate, then that will have a massive positive impact on the revenue line. So all of these things are being done over the next few months. We're not really slowing down for Christmas. We'll slow down the drill rigs a little bit. But all of the work that's going on here in the UK in terms of engineering and metallurgy and environmental work will continue, right through Q1 next year. And then come March, we'll be back in there drilling, pretty aggressively. But over the winter, we're still going to keep a couple of rigs drilling on site at a couple of new areas which we weren't really aware of 6 months ago. We found some old drill core in our administration block when we were renovating it for a site office. That was heavily mineralised in a new area called Orty, so we're going to be drilling in there this winter. When we did the soil surveys to support that drill program, we swung further around to the west and we noticed that there was high-grade mineralisation in soils on the western side of that as well. What we then did was looked over our LiDAR survey, which is a very sort of detailed laser-based topographical survey. And we could see old workings there. Clearly a small pit had been dug out there. Now, there were trees growing through it, would indicate, that pit was dug several hundred years ago. We don't know why, but we can assume now it's probably to recover metal.
And I mean, that, a few hundred years ago, they were looking for the high-grade stuff, weren't they?
And they were looking for precious.
Yeah. So that gives you a fairly good idea of, we talk about this new area, Ortiz, I think you called
it.
Yeah, Orty. Is there a suggestion, how far away is it from your resources? Could you assume continuity between that and your current resource, or is that a stretch too far?
They're down near the old Via Vacca pit. So Orty is about 100 metres to the north, and where we've identified the mineralisation to the west is about another 100 metres away. They may be connected, I'm not sure. We'll need to go in there and do a lot more work before we can, make any assumption around that.
Just remind us of, if all goes well, when might you be breaking ground in anger to build a mine?
All going well, it'll be Q2 2021. So at the moment, the intention is to finish the next round of MET. We've got a couple more geotechnical holes to drill where we're going to build the declines themselves. We need to do the engineering on a plant, but before we can do that, we need to know what that plant needs to look like. So that will be sort of, April, May. We'll then immediately get on to our BFS, a bankable feasibility study, and at the same time we're doing all of our international EIA work. The intention is to submit all of our applications for construction at the end of December next year. In the meantime, we should be receiving relatively soon our exploitation licence, which gives us a 30-year tenure on the licences themselves. And I think will clearly demonstrate that there is a willingness by the Bosnian government to see this project get back into production as soon as possible. So all of that going on time, and fingers crossed it does, but we've got good people working on it, good staff, good consultants, both in Bosnia and in the UK. We should be ready to break ground in April, May 2021.
Okay, and you're fully funded through until that point?
We are, yeah. So with the 30 million Aussie that we have in the bank now, that enables us to do a lot of exploration and gives us a lot of headroom if we wanted to do more exploration. But we have got 20,000 metres of drilling planned for next year. We'll be running some airborne surveys over some new areas, which we hope to put under a much larger concession very soon. So we're going to be massively expanding our exploration team. And it'll also fund all of the work on the environmental, the metallurgy, the feasibility studies, etc.
Excellent news. Well, we wish you the very best of luck. Come back, tell us how it's going.
Will do.
And congratulations on your London listing. Just remind us, what is the ticker?
The ticker, a bit like the ASX ticker, it's ADT1.
ADT1. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Paul Cronin there, the Chief Executive of Adriatic Metals, listed on the London market today. As you heard there, ADT1 is the ticker. It's already up 5% on its Australian close. So go and have a look at it, check it out. In the meantime, I'm afraid this is all we got time for from me, Charlie Gibson, today, bringing you the business news with Blythe Way. We'll be back very shortly, we hope, with more such investing opportunities in the world of mining. But until then, you have a very capital day.